says he's faced failure so many times he thinks failure is tired of him. So we'll have to see what his secret to longevity is, because he keeps at it. Hello to you and welcome to another episode of Visionaries. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guest today reminds us that a man can change his stars. Lebo Gunguluza went from abject poverty to becoming one of South Africa's youngest black self-made millionaires when he was just 27 years old. How did he do it? I also want to know, even though I'm way past 27. Lebo, it's such a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You've come a long way from that young boy in Port Elizabeth.
Yes, and you know, it's been a long journey, and I'm very grateful to God for all the challenges that He has given me, that have taught me so much, and all the blessings that He's provided me to continue the journey that I'm on now. Yeah.
Tell me, how would you describe your childhood?
My childhood was very interesting because it's not a childhood where, you know, where we were spoiled in any way possible. In fact, I was born in a shack behind dead people.
Like a parlor, funeral parlor?
Yeah.
Eh?
Yes, I was born behind a funeral parlor. So I grew up in that environment. My parents were studying in Durban. So I was raised by a helper, a nanny, and until they came back at a later stage in their lives. So, but that taught me one thing, though. You can never really make excuses about your past. What's important is the future that you still have the next day and tomorrow. And that's what I've lived on and I've lived by, you know, because I think most of us, we really make excuses. My father passed away when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, I didn't say why me and all of that. You know, I continued to thrive on, to try and find opportunities every day in my life. We didn't get much toys, you know, because my mother was a nurse and she had to look after the three of us. So her focus was just to get us going, and then because for her it was tough, you know.
Yeah.
She had to take us to boarding school. So I went to a boarding school in Buffalo, in Fort Beaufort. Sorry, there it was a rural school, and it was very tough for us there also because there were boycotts almost every other year. So I ended up repeating classes about 4 times. And when my mother decided that, no, this is not on, she decided, look, let me take you guys to a private school. I'll use the money that your father had left for you guys for university. So when I went to that private school, I was not speaking English very well because remember I was in the rural areas. So I had to repeat again, even though I had passed grade 9, you know. And so it was not that easy. I was the oldest guy in class by far. Like I was 3 years older than anyone else in class.
What I like is that you were very resilient, you were very headstrong, to the point where I read somewhere that you went to the University of KwaZulu-Natal with just 66 Rand or thereabout, and a lot of guts and determination.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm going to study a BCom here. Tell me more about that.
It was crazy because we had to use the funds that were available for university to get our studies going and just to finish matric at least. And I passed decently well, but it was a decision now. Do I stay in Port Elizabeth and then work there because there's no money, or do I have to make a bold decision? And I had to make a bold decision because I knew that education is key to success in any form, because it changes your perspective of life. So I decided, look, you know what, this is all I've got. Let me go to University of Natal. I'll see how I get into class. Yeah. And it was not easy because there was a long queue of applicants. So I was one amongst many who were trying to get into the university. But I pushed very hard to make sure that but the first night was not the best because I slept in a garage with cardboards because I didn't even have a place to stay. Finally, I got my bursary And then it was for 3 years. Well, it was not a bursary per se, it was a loan. So I got the loan, and that's when I knew actually that, I'm definitely I'm meant for greatness. I'm meant to succeed, because it was against absolute odds for me to get that bursary.
And of course, the doors continued to open. I know at some stage you also worked for the SABC, the youngest, in fact, to do so at Metro FM. Just quickly remind me, refresh my memory there.
So what happened is that on my final year at university, what happened, in fact, is that on the second year, after I was doing my Bachelor of Arts, because I wanted to be an actor, when I heard that one of the guys who were big actors on TV passed away, and there was no money to bury him, but I used to see him driving nice cars on TV, I thought myself, but this is not right. This guy used to look good on TV, but they're telling me that because I wanted to also act. Oh, that's why I took drama.
You saw your future there.
I saw, this is not all. I changed my course immediately to BCom, because I thought the arts are not going to, get me where I need to go in South Africa. So I had to now do another 3 years. So that means the first year was wasted. But the first year helps now, because it helps me with presentations. But the other 3 years helped me with BCom. So they gave me an opportunity on the final year to decide where my future is going to be, because on the final year there was no money for me to finish the final, because remember my loan was for 3 years.
Yes.
So I had to then find a way to finance the last year. So I had to go to one of the stores. I went to a store called Edgar's there in Maritzburg. I had to sell that I can open all the student accounts for them to the entire university. They must just give me a chance. So they gave me a chance and said, okay, show us how many accounts you can. So I opened more accounts in 1 month than they've ever opened in a year. So most of the year, that year, my final year, I didn't attend any classes, any lectures, but I was making a bit of money that was paying for my university. So in the evening, I would always just go get some lecture notes from some of my student mates, and then they would give me the lecture notes, and I'd study. So at the end of the year, funny enough, that I passed better than most students, because I think I had practical experience and the theory. So it was a nice mix for me. As a result, I was in demand when I finished my last year, because I had about 4 jobs lined up for me, and then one of them was SABC.
Yes. I want to then talk to you about that in just a moment, but also how you had made a promise to yourself. Growing up, you saw other people who had better resources, better cars, opportunities, food, etc. And you told yourself, I want to be a millionaire at the age of 27. 25.
Yes.
So you were now how old were you before you?
Yeah, I was the oldest one in class, as I said. When I finished matric, I was 20 years old, and everyone else was like 16 years old. I said, this is not on. So I said to myself, I don't care. The last 20 years were tough, but I'm not going to look back into them. I'm going to look into the next 20 years. So I made a promise to myself that the next 20 years is going to be different, and that at the age of 25, I don't care what happens, I must be a millionaire, whether I'm finished with university or not. I made that promise at matric when I was on my way to Natal to go look for school.
I don't want you to give it away. Hold that thought. I want to know how you made it happen. And I can just imagine so many people saying, yes, So if you want to know how it happened, you're just going to have to stick around. See you in just a moment.